Hello everyone, Burb here. I said in yesterday's 7.1 patch notes overview that I would make a companion guide to all the skills that they added to the game. I know that a lot of people are freaking out because if you look at your veterans list, there's about 50 new white sparks that can be added to parents, and each one of these coincides with basically a new skill that has been added to the game. Yes, there are 2 pages of them. I'll be going over all of them, and I'll be going them in a format that you probably recognize if you watch this channel. I'll be going over the skill, its conditions, its strengths, and its comparisons to other skills that are in the game currently, much like I do in a CM video. After that, I will note the first source of gold that will occur both in card and character, which is more for the loopers because that is when looping will be a lot easier because you can grab this skill on your parents, and that is when generally Cygames has made it so that that is actually meant to be part of the meta. Speaking of the meta, the last little bit I will be talking about any meta relevance for CM16, CM17, and beyond. Do note that mostly that I found the gold version of the skill is released generally when it is more meta relevant, but there are a few skills that are useful early in CM16 that will be rare but will be quite powerful, and we will talk about them, and I will note them as such when we get to it. Note for scheduling, I used the JP schedule because I wasn't going to translate and speculate how fast they're going to excel anymore. We are currently in August of 2022 with the release of Summer Marzensky and Nakayama Festa Wit and Summer Marzensky Speed, of course. So if you see 2023, we have 6 months to a year. If you see 2024, we have 2 years. 2025 or 2026 is very far in the future. So that means the gold skill will not be released quite soon. With that out of the way, let's start talking about skills. First of all, they did release All Set. This is more just because Summer McQueen is releasing later today. All Set is a 0.35 recovery, much like Pure Heart is or Super Creek Ultimate. It's quite powerful if it decides to proc. However, the no late start condition is a little bit tough because late starts do happen quite a bit, even non-visually. You still will get a late start 1 out of every 3 times, even if you do not see it, and it still counts as a late start for this skill, and then you just don't get a recovery. And this is long and pace chaser locked, which means you have to use this on longs if you are a pace chaser, so relying on this is just a little bit tough, but because it's still a 0.75 recovery, you probably still get this on McQueen herself. All Set is just not reliable because only every 2 out of 3 times it'll proc, but it probably could be used as a supplementary on long. Notably, we will not have a long CM for quite a while. It'll be Arima Keenan at the tail end of Grand Live. Collaborative graded races. We're going to get into a few dirt skills here. All just means you need to be on the Oi, Kawasaki, Funabashi, or Morioka tracks. There will be the Kawasaki, Funabashi, and Morioka tracks released later on, closer to CM17, and this will be a useful speed skill. It is on Kopano Riki, and there's no gold version that exists, so Kopano Riki will have it, and it'll be useful on CM17 because that is on the Oi Dirt track. You get it on a few hints later on with like Ricky Wit, but that is not till like 2024. So this will be useful on CM17 if it decides to pop up, or if you do loop it. Mostly it is just for Ricky to get one of her greens that is required. Sunnyside is also a gold on Ricky. It never appears on a card, at least in JP so far that I have seen. Sunnyside is basically a front half dirt track random late mid race. So the second half of the mid race, it is a speed skill 0.15. It is lower duration, closer to a Professor Curvature or Corner Adept. It has a higher chance of speed carryover though because it is second half of mid-race rather than the whole of mid-race. This is a gold on Ricky as well. It's useful to pick up on CM17 as well for you frontrunners and pace chaser players, and even possibly if you want to lobby gamble, but there's going to be so many pace chasers and frontrunners on the dirt track, I think it's CM17, that you don't take this anywhere else. First through fifth is a little bit binding in that respect. Full Tilt is originally on as the gold version on Shinko Windy, but we don't really get a card version of it until Wonder Acute Stamina in 2024 mid, so we don't have this for quite a while. It is a full at rate target speed skill 0.15. That's going to happen in the final spurt. It's basically the old version of homestretch haste. It can get clipped. It is just a random final spurt set. So technically slightly less value than a normal late race speed skill, and only for dirt as well in front half of the pack, but by then you should be in the front half of the pack if you are winning. This will probably be a supplementary skill on CM17. Down in the Dirt will eventually be on Wonder Acute later in Grand Live. I believe she releases in Grand Live and maybe even be Grand Masters. It is basically Dirt version of Slipstream, and it is basically a carbon copy. It is a cheap 0.15 3-second skill that all you really need to do is be following someone for 3 seconds, at least 5 seconds into the race. It's very, very, very reliable speed skill that will be useful in pretty much all roles because it's just Slipstream. Got the Sprint is on Yellow Smart Falcon at the start of Grand Live in the form of Be the Center. It's never on a gold card. The white version is only found on hints later on. It is a front half late race dirt acceleration. So it is basically the old version of Head On or the current version of Turbo Sprint, except bound by dirt rather than bound by sprint or by pace chaser, etc. So this does work in first place. Head On's only, only on, it does work in first place. For the dirt track, we will probably see this as a gambling option in the dirt CM. That's pretty much it. Rapid Gain is in the game. It's a gold version, but it has no sources. It's basically just the dirt version of Updrafters. It's the companion to Got the Spirit. Rapid Gain is the back half. It's basically the dirt clone of Updrafters. So Updrafters is mile bound. It is back half. It is 3-second 0.2. This is dirt bound Updrafters. So it is just dirt race back half. With the amount of pace chasers and frontrunners, CM17, this is a gambling option. But again, we also just have buffed on your left and buffed Head On and stuff like that. So who knows if this will be relevant, honestly, there. It is a gambling acceleration. Solid Steps. Solid Steps is on a gold version on Ricky for Strong Steps. It is basically just pure speed, and all it says is that you have to be on dirt. And if you are on dirt, your power needs to be above 1,000. If you do that, you get 20. If you're above 1,200, which you probably will be by then in Grand Live, if you have 1201 or more as your readable power stat without any modifications, you will get 40 speed instead. So it is a speed skill on dirt, so it will be used in CM17. It'll be one of the triggers for Capano Ricky. Muddy is meant for the soft tracks and heavy tracks. It is on Shinko Windy, and it is eventually used on a Guts card later that you probably will not use because it is a Guts card, which I believe is Ricky Guts. And it is just, you have to be on a soft dirt track, and I am checking this right now. It is a sunny autumn day with cold conditions for CM17, which means this will also be a speed skill for CM17, okay? Because this can be soft or heavy as well. Dust Cloud is a debuff for 3 seconds that can only happen in the early race if you are in the lead. This is on Yellow Smart Falcon as well. There is no sources for the gold that you can find. It is only really for if you believe you have the best early race and are a front runner, because it is first place only, and it is a debuff that is on the line of, let's say, I guess a dominator, but it's of course early race instead of late race. So you have to be in first place. There has to be another front runner that is vying for position with you, basically, which is less than 1 length or more, and you have to do this over after the first 10 seconds. So there's basically a very small area for you to actually hit this first place. So you need to make sure you are the best front runner if you take this skill. It's also dirt bound, if I didn't say that. Oppression is dirt bound as well. We're almost done with the dirt skills, don't worry. You can really only find this on hints. It is weird because it only affects one other horse, the first horse to proc a recovery skill. On the next CM, because it is 2,000 meters, you will have people that will use recoveries because it's very difficult to get stamina in Grand Live. But honestly, it's only affecting one horse, and it's on the horse that required a recovery, and probably the strongest horses are the ones that are able to hit the stats they require, so they probably won't have their recovery anyways, so it's not necessarily the best skill, in my opinion. Someone else could figure out if there's something I'm missing with this. That's all the dirt skills, do not worry. Let's get into the ones that are more relevant for turf tracks. On the attack is the skill that will be on Agnes Tachyon speed, and eventually on the Agnes Tachyon that everyone's going to be talking about as in the form of the gold skill Unstoppable. It is technically a below rate speed skill, but just like Professor of Curvature, it is quite powerful. It is a pace chaser mid-race speed skill akin to that of Fast and Furious, that all you require is being a pace chaser. So you do not care about what the pack is. It's quite powerful even at the 2.4 second duration as the gold version of Unstoppable. But do note that it is closer to a corner adept than it is a mid straights, a straights or a corners skills for your various roll or distance. So it's technically, 25% worse than a 3-second skill because of its duration. Breaking Out is in the form of Breaking Ahead on Narita Taishin Steampunk. It is a back half mid-race random end closer skill. It is just speed. It's mid-race speed. It's quite good. It requires back half, which I guess you should be in the back half at the point it is, but it is more like a Fast and Furious for end closers. Okay, so it's still fine. It's 5th through 9th. You should be in 5th through 9th with this new front runner meta that's coming out with the Summer Marzensky card and all the pace chasers that they're getting to. Breaking Out, probably fine on the next Champions meeting if you see it appear in your various Unity bubbles. Leap Forward is sprint or mile bound. It is back half of the pack for late close surgers and end closers in particular, and this is relevant in CM16. It's very powerful because it is the is overtake condition in the late race phase. Is overtake should proc near instantly if you proc literally any speed carryover or acceleration skill, because there will be someone in front of you that did not go and hit. So this is essentially near perfect proc acceleration 0.2 for 2 seconds, which is quite powerful on the newest sprint track and in the future when we have Daichi Ruby Power in particular, because this is a Grand Live card. We will get Flash Forward, which is a 0.4, which is even more powerful, and it's been suggested that late surgers in particular grab this card, but even backliners in general, this is quite a powerful skill to have. It's going to be very difficult to get it on the sprint track, and with the buff of on your left, it may not be even 100% required, because you can still just on your left gamble, and on the sprint track, on your left is also a near perfect proc, even at the worst timing, okay? So Leap Forward, we will use this a lot in Grand Live and beyond, but for now, it's just a option, and a very good option, because is overtake should proc almost immediately. Even if you have a higher power coefficient than someone else, you can actually trigger is overtake. It's kind of crazy. Once that late race hits and you just have more power than someone, your speed is faster than them after like the second frame, and you can proc is overtake almost immediately. Aspire is on the Yamanin Zephyr card, which is a Grand Live card as well. It is a 0.05 4 seconds as a white skill, so you should never take this, basically. It's just like Gold Chip Alt or like Daring Strike, and in fact, it's pretty much Pace Chaser Daring Strike if you didn't look at the fact that it also requires distance diff top less than or equal to 5. This condition is rather risky because it's saying that you need to be 2 lengths or closer 2 lengths or closer after that 60% mark, which is directly before the spurt itself, to basically be close to the leader. This is a win more skill. I don't know if I explained that right. This is Daring Strike for pace chasers if you are within 2 lengths of the leader. So you could say, and you can't be in the lead too. Sorry about that. You can't be in the lead. So you literally cannot be Lucky Pace. You have to be close to the leader, and then you get a Daring Strike. That speed carryover guarantees because the 4 second duration is long enough. Kind of tough, to be honest. It's a very high roll strategy. If you hit it, you most likely win because of speed carryover and the natural essence of being 2 lengths from the leader or closer. Yamanin Zephyr as a card, it's tough to run a Guts card anyways, so Ambitious Breeze is going to be tough to have in general. Yamanin Zephyr on herself, it's probably something that you get because that's kind of the way her entire character is built, to just throw and load up mid-race. Scramble is the Chris S skill, claw forward in white form. It is useful on longs for late surgers because it is a perfect proc. All you have to do is be on long as a late surger, and it will proc immediately as long as you are 4th or worse, which you should be. As a 4 through 9 perfect proc excel for late surgers on long. Now, we do not have a long CM until the release of Chris S, so do not worry, you will get the gold version of this because you most likely will be borrowing this card as a late surger, although with the buff of on your left, it may not even be required either. Note that it is a shorter duration despite being 0.2, and it does drain your HP by 2%, which on longs require late surgers to actually go and get a bit more stamina, which is going to be tough in Grand Live. Steady Gait is the skill that is on the Grand Live card, Augury Cap Wit. It is a solid skill as a gold version, but as a white version, it is kind of shredded as a hybrid. You're mostly getting this for the 0.1 Excel, and it is random late mid-race, so it is basically a 1 in 5 is what we found because Thunderbolt Step is a 1 in 10. It's closer to a 1 in 5 at the 3-second base duration. It's a gamble acceleration that's only 0.1. I don't think that it's going to be very relevant, even with the fact that it would speed carry over in the situations where this would matter. If it's cheap enough, perhaps you get it, but I don't think it's really that much. Also, distance diff top greater less than or equal to 10 means you have to be within 4 lengths of the leader. This is another win more card, skill that we most likely will just use if you decide to grab the Augury Cap Wit card instead. Gonna grab a drink real quick. All right, Pedal to the Metal is a 0.25 2.4, so it is above rate. It is close to Triumph and Pulse, slightly worse, and you just have to be four horse lengths from the lead as a late surger. It is a final straight skill, so it can just go and get eaten by the acceleration zone if you're already close to the front, but if you're not, this is more of a cinema skill because it'll proc slightly later if you're able to actually hit that 4 lengths or closer. Basically, if you proc this and you have stuff like Triumph and Pulse, it probably will cause you to win. It's sort of meant for that. Top Gear is on Vodka Christmas. That is basically the only source of it until 2024. We got a few years, which we will have winning ticket power. I don't even know if that's a good card. Most of winning ticket cards are not that great, to be perfectly blunt. So most likely this is just a vodka thing with Top Gear, but do note it is a 0.25 late race speed skill meant for cinemaing. Basically, it's meant for going from the back of the pack all the way to the front of the pack using late race skills. Daiwa Scarlet Christmas has Can't Even Catch My Shadow, and the white version is in now with Firm Resolve. It is a below, oh no, it's 0.25 2.4. It is in the late race in the last straight. It's basically the counterpart to it for front runners. You have to be in first place and you have to have someone within 1 length. It's basically, seems like this is supposed to be a pass protect skill. Hopefully the one behind you is like a pace chaser and not a late surger and end closer, because end closer coefficient might just go and ignore this. But this is, let's see, the final straight on the sprint CM, it most likely is going to just be eaten by the Excel zone because you're going to be vying for position with other front runners and pace chasers in the first place. Maybe you take this on a runaway because the runaway should still have a slight gap. Possibly. Otherwise, I don't think you're really going to take this on CM16 because this should proc rather quickly on that final straight. I guess if you're a front runner and you have someone exactly 1 length behind you or less, you're already losing, so maybe you take this just as your late race skill. Otherwise, on longer tracks, that final straight is moved along quite a bit further, and that's why I think that it is meant to be as such a pass protect, as a final little last gasp to try to make someone who is going to pass you not pass you instead. Again, 0.25, 2.4 seconds is rather powerful. May 2023, we get Daiwa Scarlet Guts, which is a Guts card. I don't think we're running Guts then. I could be wrong about that. Future Burb here. The previous 2 skills I talked about, Pedal to the Metal and Firm Resolve, I was kind of talking in the form of CM16 because that final straight is pretty close to the Excel zone start. Obviously in medium and long tracks where that final straight is much further along, not talking about you, Nagata 2000 meter outer, they're usually just fine. So this is just a great late race speed skill for when those situations I was talking about were occurring. So ignore all that stuff with eaten by the Excel zone unless you're talking about CM16 or basically straight Excel tracks, basically. So straight Excel tracks or tracks where that final straight is really close to that zone. Just wanted to make that clear. I did a bad job with that. All right, back to me. We're getting into the big ones. Hot Pursuit is the gold version that is on Narita Brian Blaze. Latch On is the white version. It is basically an after 50% is overtake mid-race speed skill. It is on the level of Corner Adept. But is overtake is finicky. It could slightly late proc, and all of a sudden you have a speed carryover skill. Even if it doesn't speed carryover, this is mid-race. On CM16, this can actually kind of count as a primer. I was kind of talking about how Nemesis and stuff can basically start your speed to get a pass on that final corner to hopefully proc stuff like it's on so that you complete the pass before you just completely wide swing. It's very, you can't control it or anything, but that may be an option. At the end of the day, it is still mid-race for pace chasers and late surgers, and is overtake, while not being consistent, of course, it should generally proc rather early. Beast mode is what they've translated. I believe it was called monster before. My true strength is the white version of that. It's a 1.2 second acceleration 0.2. That is a perfect proc excel for pace chasers in particular. This is where Brian Blaze gets her power, because that becomes 0.4 eventually in the middle of 2023. So in about a year, you get Tiamat Pro Wit with this. I don't even know if that's a great card. Its condition is rather easy for pace chasers. You just have to be within 4 horse lengths at the 60% mark or later, and then that is the precondition that will perfect proc excel on longs though. So my true strength, not going to be used until basically that Arima Keenan CM at the end of the Grand Live scenario. No Looking Back is on Daitaku Helios as Reckless Charge. No Looking Back is the white version. It is a 0.15, 2.4 second random late mid-race, so it's basically first through fifth. It does work in first place, so frontrunners and pace chasers. Eventually, we get Yamanin Zephyr Speed in July 2024 in a few years that has the gold version, but until then, just the white version or Daitaku Helios is basically for miles only, first through fifth, and then random late mid-race, so has a chance of speed carryover greater than that of a standard mid-race skill, but 2.4 seconds makes it on the level of Corner Depth for miles. We do not have a mile CM for a little bit. I believe it's CM 18 or 19, so we do not have to worry about that. We have the Racing Spirits. These are acquirable in URA. They are basically all going to be below rate but cheap and have a higher speed, and then have a higher chance of doing something. So for the speed, is a higher speed carryover chance because it's random late mid race, just like No Looking Back is. It is available on pretty much everybody. It doesn't have many conditions at all. It just sort of procs. It's 0.15 for 2 seconds rather than speed 3 seconds. So it is basically 2/3 of a fully powerful speed skill, but it's only 150 skill points, and you can grab a lot of skill points if you start looping these, which is why people are going back into URA. If you don't want to do that, you just got to wait a week, and then the people will do it for you on your grandparents, and you just kind of put these as nice to haves on your new parents that you grab yourself. So Racing Spirit speed, is below rate, but it's cheaper and it has a higher speed carryover chance. Racing Spirit stamina is basically a late race better old homestretch haste is what I've written, but it's final spurt random, so it can be clipped by the end of the race. It is the final spurt phase, not the final spurt being that you have hit your excel, but it is a 0.253 second target speed, which is rather powerful. It does drain your HP a little bit, but hopefully you have taken that into consideration. It will not proc if it's immediately going to kill you, but it can proc at 2.1% HP and then kill you slightly after. So high risk. If you have any additional stamina and this procs, it's probably a good thing to pick up because it's just simply a final spurt, 0.253 seconds, rather efficient for 150 base skill points, to be perfectly honest. Racing Spirit Power is a 0.154 second duration that happens basically on the is overtake condition in the late race. So you have to spurt, and then this will proc on is overtake. Is overtake normally procs when you have spurted and you have hit an excel. So in the positions where you're winning, part of this will be eaten, but because of its duration of 4 seconds, you normally will get between 1 and 2 seconds of this. And if for some reason there is a gap between you and the next person in front of you, it's rather powerful because you just have a ridiculous late race speed skill at 0.15 or zero point 0.6 distance units total. After that, Guts is a 0.2 excel on a duel. I don't like the skill because I just find that it's hard to do duels when you're accelerating because someone has to also accelerate at the same time. If it does hit, you are accelerating a lot faster. I will say this is an excel skill, so we can't count it out. It's very, very random because you have to duel. Now, you can build your team comp around this by hopefully having everyone proc excels at the same time, but at best, I think the duel still happens slightly later and it's very difficult. But this is only gonna really matter even at all on situations where the final straight is exactly perfect procking with the spurt. So stuff like the next champions meeting, CM16 does have this a little bit late. Sorry, because you can't duel until the final straight. So I don't think this will be relevant particularly much on CM16. Someone in the comments can say if I am very wrong on this, but I just don't like the skill personally. Racing Spirit Wit is just tail held high, but second half instead of just at the start, basically. It is mid-race speed, and at that point it is rather powerful. It is only 2 seconds, but again, these are cheaper than normal, so it has a higher chance of speed carryover when you're basically already speed carryovering. You proc your Professor of Curvature plus another skill in the second part of the race, and all of a sudden you have basically 3 skills procking that are speed carryovering at all. Very random, but most likely you are procking this in the mid-race because you should have over time more and more skills to proc in the second half. Racing Spirit Mood is a green skill that's going to be rather powerful, honestly. In Grand Life, it's very difficult to get stamina and guts, and the fact it just gives you 80 for 150 is quite good. Good or great mood only, so it is technically random, but finals it will be free stats for champions meeting. Basically, you get stamina plus 40, guts plus 40, wit plus 40, all for the low price of just looping this into your parents. But Racing Spirit Mood is very powerful. And for me, I think the best ones are going to be mood. I think it's going to be really difficult to get stamina and guts in Grand Live, and this could be a supplementary, perhaps not to get you to A finals, but to go and make it better. Maybe it's in second or third. Again, I've just barely looked at these, to be honest. The wit one I think is quite good. It has a high chance of speed carryover. The power one I think is fine too. I think you can late proc is overtake. The stamina one probably is better than the power one, but it's also a stamina drain, so it has a downside. And I think after that, the speed one is perfectly fine. These top 5 I think are fine. I don't like the guts one personally. I know a lot of people will gamble with it, and stuff like Inari 1 has additional synergy with it, but it's Excel, right? It's hard for me to recommend it, but maybe someone else can persuade me later on, and I've been wrong about this. You can also get the plus version of Racing Spirit and the Ignited Spirits from Unity as well. All they do is they give you a bit of extra of the stat itself as well as the original skill hint, so if you get them, it's kind of a nice little bonus. I believe they are mutually exclusive. Finally, we have Eyes on the Gold. Past My Limits, I believe, is the skill from URA that you will get. It is quite good. It is 0.15, 2.4 seconds with scaling increasing. If it's anything like Unity, it'll be like a plus 10% or a plus 25%. So it will be a above rate mid-range speed skill that is just expensive, which means you just need a lot of hints on it, like Glittering Star. It's basically the old timing of Homestretch Haste, and it's given by URA. So that's all. I hope that's been useful. I'll probably have another video later tonight. This was kind of more of a little bonus video. I know I rambled a little bit, but honestly, these skills have been out for about a day and I wasn't expecting it, so I tried my best. So later on, I'll have another video today. But for that, I hope that has at least made it calmed your nerves a little bit, because there really only honestly is about 2 or 3 skills that really matter for CM16, and then we can deal with all the dirt skills in CM17 a little bit later. So take care, everyone. I hope you're enjoying the new Unity Cup scenario in particular. I think most people are running that. It's a lot quicker than Track Blazer. Take care. Burb out.